and stuff. And we're going to adjust our agenda just a little bit because of Clayton's responsibilities and some of his commitments. First, I'd like to welcome everybody. Here, Hansel Kage. Ayat e bin Dide e Hansel Kage asi Hansen sto. She Chuck Foster and Shido. She ani slido Teslani Bashin Hatagani Shinel Tapash Chikut in Slow. The Utah State Board of Education, American Indian Education, Banash Nisho. Just a little introduction about myself, and thank you guys for your attendance. I really appreciate what you guys do for your students and appreciate what you guys do for your programs. And I have the agenda on the screen. We're going to go through the agenda and we're going to make a little switch here. The welcoming, and we're going to have a cultural reverence from Sierra from Davis School District. And if Clayton is on, we're going to have him because again, he has responsibilities that he's going to take care of. And right after that, we'll have Dustin, and I'm going to go through some of the updates from the next few, I guess, next month and the month after, because we we're around the corner and we're head into the last 3 or 4 months of school, and I think a lot of these students are excited about that. And so it's great that we'll have the Urban Indian Center give us a little update. And plus that, during the update sessions, if I could have you guys give an update, if you have one, something that you're working on or something that you have, you can bring awareness to us. And I've received a lot of your projects and your, I guess, things that you have on your calendar. And what I'm doing is that once I get that, I'll go ahead and send that out to everybody. So then the last part is we'll adjourn. Our next meeting is March the 13th. I was trying to miss everybody's spring break during that time. I think I did. So let's start with Sierra. If you could give us the cultural reverence this morning, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Let me stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
And I need access to share. It won't let me.
Okay. Becky, do you have that? Can you do that? Is she here? Hey, Becky, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
It's, yeah. If I can just find it on my computer.
Okay.
I was telling Dr. Foster that I know we're having our honoring ceremonies and graduation ceremonies coming up, so I wanted to show ours. Our school district made a video of ours last year, so I wanted to show that video of how ours went, and that's typically what we do every year. You'll see Dr. Foster on it, and try not to look too close at me. I was dead tired. It was at the end of the night that they interviewed me. Oh, now I have it. Let's see. Tell me if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it's not what I wanted.
I don't hear anything. I don't know. It's just me. What the heck?
Good one.
Hey, Jason. No. Well, I'm actually listening to audio. What can I do for you?
Can you guys mute your?
Oh, you didn't get it? Oh, can I have it right here on my desk. Let me just get back on this audio. Um, well, okay, what's not balancing on it? Oh, hold on.
Did it stop sharing?
Okay. Hey, that was nice. Nicely put together. I didn't hear any audio, but it was,
I don't know how to fix the audio. Sorry about
okay.
that. Hopefully you were reading the
Well,
captions. It was really
yeah.
good.
Well, we were
It
reading the
looked cool
captions.
though.
Plus that, we'll do this again next month. How's that? No, it's kidding.
Something. Yeah, they also did a video on our Navajo class, which was nice too. And I can always send those out to Dr. Foster if anybody wanted to see with audio. But it's a really good representation of our group. We had about 30 attend. We had about 70 graduates. But 30 kids attending has been our most that we've ever gotten. So it was a really good night. But yeah, that's what we do.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was really nicely put together. Is that from your IT people that
Yeah, from
did
the
something like? Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's nice that the other people in your school district to get involved with these activities like this. And I think it puts you on the same level as, like athletics. They always film the athletics and they film some of the fine arts stuff too. So this is quite, it's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing that with us, and we'll move on.
Anytime.
Is Clayton here?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah, we can hear you,
Okay.
Clayton.
Yeah.
So go ahead and
Okay.
I'll give you the floor. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. それでとすんだ間、I don't know if you said a little prayer, but if you haven't, I can say a prayer.
And I'm trying not to.
Work okay? Okay. Let's see. Let me go ahead and
Melinda, would you mute your microphone, please?
let me go ahead and share.
Again.
Uh, kind of a happy day today. I woke up with a rain coming down. So San Juan, you're blessed. It's great. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that Navajo One is still going on. Navajo One will stay going on until April, the end of April. We will start Navajo government. At first, I wasn't sure if I was going to start that because of the situation at home. But things are turning good. Just to let you know, my wife is goes to dialysis now. But her health is in such a way that she is getting what do you call physical therapy and now able to yesterday she did what we call 5 laps around in the hospital. So meaning walk with the pushing the wheelchair. Anyway, so it's good news to see progress that way. And I'm thinking about a picture where there's 2 step ladders, and one has a step ladder. People stepping are big, you know, and the other one is really small. They're small steps, and it says that the smaller steps actually bring you success rather than big steps where you're really struggling trying to get to the first step. I believe that in the sense that small steps can get great results. Our Navajo one is, well, let me talk about Navajo government still. Navajo government, there's quite a few seniors and folks that want to take Navajo government. And thank you for saying, are you in position to teach? And so I was able to plug it in. So on the same day we teach Navajo 1, which is Monday, Wednesday, starting on the March, we just looking at my calendar here real quick. Oops, focus. No. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, now it's not doing anything. Anyway, March 2nd, I think is what it is a Tuesday, or not Tuesday, a Monday. And on those days, we teach on Monday, Wednesday, Navajo 1, 3:30 to about 5:30, depending on the amount of pass-off we need to do. And once that pass-off's done, then about 5:30, we can switch to Navajo government. So both Navajo 1, Navajo government will fall on the same day. Because if I do it any other day, then it messes up the schedule at home. So Navajo government will start on March 2nd, 5:30 to 6:30. And we'll keep that going until the last day of April also. So both Navajo 1 and Navajo government will actually end on the same day. And both of them have to do with pass-offs. We're actually gone way beyond pass-offs. We're probably in the 40s now, less than 40. So lessons piling up. But we'll keep doing it until April. And so students would actually pass off close to probably 50, maybe a little bit more. There'll be a cutoff, meaning if you want to get an A, you have to do this many. One of the things that would help that pass off for Navajo 1 is I'm making video clips of the lesson, that hour and a half lesson is shrunk down to about maybe 2 minutes to 5 minutes long. And if every student that needs that right now without having to really put in the 1 hour and a half recording, just go down to 5 minutes lessons, really pinpointing the idea of pass-offs. You need to do pass-offs. If you can do pass-offs, and then let's say you're working, let's say your student is working and can't get it off at 3:30 and to 5:30, but comes on later in recordings. I would focus right now, since it's past half a year, right now, just focus on what you've missed, meaning what pass off did you not do? Go to the pass off and listen to the lesson, question and answer dialogue going on. That dialogue needs to be within that student so that they can go to a friend, a family member. It doesn't matter if they speak or not speak the language. If they don't speak it, you can actually teach it, meaning from the dialogue. You can listen to it over and over until you can teach it. Once you teach it, then you can do the pass out with each other. And then they just email me and say, Mr. Long, I did lesson 1 and 2, which I did not do last beginning of the year. And so anyway, those are ways to catch up. There are seniors that are asking, I need a Navajo 1. Is there a way? Yes, there is a way, but you got to get started right now, or else you're never going to catch up. All right, right now, so that you can do the 5-minute clips, and that way, by the end of April, you can actually get that good grade, so that you can have it on your transcript. All right. One of the things I need the Title VI coordinators to do is I'll resend who's on the list that's been getting my email about getting on for Navajo 1, but for some reason they're not in the class, so they're missing out on the pass offs. I'll send you the list, and you go down the list, and if at all possible, go contact each one of them and say, have you been passing off from Navajo 1? If you have, thank you. You're good. Yeah. But because of work or whatever else that's going on, we can't get the 3:30 lessons. Somehow say you can get it. You can do it. We just need to get you that 5-minute clip that on each lesson. And if you can do that, you can still pass off and get that Navajo 1, put on your transcript. Okay. That's Navajo 1. Right now there's consistency of 20, but I actually have close to maybe 50, maybe more students that need those pass offs. Some of them did it, but that did not keep going with it. So they need to be encouraged. One of the things I would suggest is find the person that's in your district. It is Anne-Marie on. Anne-Marie has a good way of doing it. And what she does is she asked her dad, to say, can you work with us on pass offs or Navajo 1? Well, all they got to do is make sure that they get the 5-minute recording, have the students listen to it over and over and over, and then Mr. Patero can say, okay, let me do the pass off with you. So he can actually do the pass off other days than Mondays or Wednesdays. He can help the students other days. And so if you have a person like that can help you out with the pass offs with the students, that'd be really good. And that works really good if you have a group that comes in on after school that you might work with on their homework and stuff like that. That works really well. Students come at 4, they come and join you, or you can create your own group. We had a lesson on Monday, but it looks like you're free on Tuesday at 4. can all of you guys come together? Mr. Platero or whoever we choose is going to come in and pass you off. But you got to listen to all these. Before we come, you got to listen to the 5-minute clips on your own. And then when you come, it's faster because you don't have to sit here until you learn it and then pass off with the facilitator. So that's just one idea. Okay. I know that Richfield, I know that over in St. George, they do that. They do that. They have their own facilitator and they can pass off with each other. And that's good. I like that. So if you do have the after school group come together, that's, I know not everybody can do it. I know some schools are way far apart and you can't bring everybody together. But if you can, that would be good. I think it's possible. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We're using Zoom to bring everybody together, even though you're throughout the whole state. Yeah. I think if you can find a tech person and say, can you set up a Zoom meeting for all our students to come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and maybe even Fridays? I have a facilitator. I need to Navajo, especially the seniors, to pass off Navajo 1 before April. and so allow that to happen. That'd be cool if you can, or even if you just designate it one more day to have them do pass offs. That would be cool. All right. Before I go to Navajo governments, anybody have any questions for Navajo 1 right now?
Yeah, Clayton, there's a comment here about the list of names being sent out. Is that you're going to be sending that information out to the coordinators?
Yeah. So
Okay.
what it is I've got about 60 students have registered. There are some that are consistent, maybe 20 are consistent come in on Mondays and Wednesdays, but there are some that are kind of sporadic, meaning that they come every once in a while. They're the ones that need the kind of, all right, we got one more half a year, we've got to have you pass out. And so those are the ones I'm going to send to all the Title VI coordinators.
And the other one is that is there the deadline where they submit the late work that's allowable? Because sometimes I'd get get an email during the summer and say, well, I took a class and
Yes.
I think.
If you're a senior, it is imperative that you do it at the end of April. You can't go into summer and say, can you put this on my transcript? Well, I'm not the one to put it on the transcript. I've got to send it to the Salt Lake School District to be able to have them put it on the transcript. So that there's a process. That takes a while to get that process go all the way through. And for that reason, really encourage the seniors to get the pass offs done before or right at the end of April. The other ones I can kind of work with, like if you're a junior or a sophomore, we clear that up throughout the summer or even beginning of the year. But seniors, you got to do it before. All right. And then you put it in the chat, put it in the email, just send me an email, text me or something so we can clear up some of those ideas. I know some parents are asking about that, so I'm trying to get together with them so that we can clear up some things from the past. You know, even though there might be seniors now, we want to get it done before they graduate. Let's say your student took Navajo 1 back in when they were freshmen or sophomores, but they have never had it on their transcript yet. I need those parents to email me, or even your as Title VI coordinators, you can help out too. Just email me and say this person needs to have their Navajo 1 put on their transcript. Is there a way you can help? As well, I'll go through my records. I will pull out the things that I have on that student. If there's a grade I'll send it in again. If there's not a grade, I will talk to the parents until the child gets to that level where there's a grade pulled together, and then I'll send it in that way. So anybody that's non-senior, I can kind of work with that way, right? That's a good way. I think that's about it for Navajo one. The Navajo government, here's one way that we can, let's say I sent you the registration form for Navajo governments for students to sign up, and you send it out, but you know there's some that you wish they were, or they're asking, but they're not seeing that they're doing it. One way to do is just email me their names and the questions that are asked on the registration form. Answer those questions, send it to me, and I will put that under as a registration form so that all the students are on a one spreadsheet, one document. Okay, so that's one thing I can do now.
Hey, Clayton, maybe to coordinate everything, if you just send it to me and I'll send it out to all the coordinators. So
That's it.
hopefully, the coordinators can get that information out to the schools and the students.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it today. All right. Yeah. As far as Navajo 2, I know people are asking about Navajo 2. I would love to do it, but right now I'm just like, I can't plug it in a time slot. Okay, I can do it, but the time slot is not there. So my thought is things will be a lot better for Navajo 2 to come maybe in September. So I'll plug that in September. And that one's also a year-long class, so it's not like Navajo government, it's a half a year. Okay, yeah. The other thought is this is for future, think future. If you have a person that loves thinking, speaking, reading, writing, or wants to learn reading and writing, they can join a class so they can learn with us. But at the same time, I would like to train them to do what I do, but right within your school district. For example, if Anne-Marie wants her dad to do some of that with the class on your own with the school district, hey, let's just use the same pictures, slides, I call them slides, to teach concepts, and I'll help the facilitator to, just give them ideas of how to teach and then pass off. And then if they've been former teachers, I would encourage them to get the Navajo Nation test that they have for language teachers. So there is a test. If you can pass it, you can have it and teach it in any school district in the res. So anyway, there's a process to getting accredited, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, the Navajo Nation one, and then the bilingual. You need to pass the bilingual, meaning the classes that are offered through the state on the English as a second language classes. So you need two things. One is your Navajo Nation test that you pass for Navajo language, and the other one is taking the courses that is offered through the state on the English as a second language. I think there's 2 classes, maybe 3 classes that you take on that. It just teaches you how to work with languages, any languages, or English language, and how the process of teaching it. Those 2, you can get your bilingual certificate. From there, you can teach Navajo language. Very good, yeah. Of course, the district needs to verify that you're also a regular teacher, so you can get the full package of your as a language teacher. Maybe there's one language teacher that would like to do it with several different school districts. you can have maybe a language teacher with several school districts. I know there's one up there by I was going to say Pass Salt Lake. Uh, there's one language teacher that they have that coordinates with that school district, and I think others too. But that's for language teacher. If you want to become a language teacher, we can do it. We can get you to be a language teacher. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Then go, hey, just email me, text me, call me, email. We can do. Maybe for future, we develop a language teaching course, heritage language teacher course. I've done that in the past. All my language teachers in the past got their bilingual certificate from the state of Utah, so they can teach in every class, first grade or kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, and work with the Navajo Nation. I mean, if we want that as a statewide course, that all you gotta say is, let's do it, and we can do it. We can teach those are very interested in Navajo language. The big thing is, if you know how to think and speak it, we can help you with the reading and writing to bring it so that you can get your bilingual certificate. Okay, it's not that bad. It's not that good. It's not that bad. It's good all the way around. You don't need it. All right. I've done it with language teachers in the school district. I just teach for the Net College. I teach the same courses, maybe about 5 courses. We go through 5 courses, get all those, and you get yourself ready to take the Navajo language test. Once you take that language test, you're on your own to get the state's ESL classes. You can even do that right now. Get on board with that ESL classes that is offered through the state. Once you're done, you get an ESL certificate, you get a bilingual certificate, you get a Navajo Nation language teaching certificate. You get all 3 of them, and then you can become a teacher throughout the state. Okay. All right. Ajishito Lekehat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Clayton. I think someone had a question. Maybe I can answer that. I know that the Ute language class was built into the curriculum in their school district. That's with Uinta and Duchesne, and I don't know exactly how they worked that out. And the other one is with the Go Shoot language. That has um, that stalled on us this year because if you guys know Virgil Johnson, he had other family duties that he was attending to, so they put that on hold until hopefully next year or when they have another Go Shoot language instructor, teacher. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, in San Juan County, we try to put the Southern language into at least and build it up, like elementary all the way up to high school. We're really good at trying to get started. We got started. We got them up to about 8th grade, and because of the credentials of the language teacher and following some of the state stuff, it made it hard for that teacher to stay. And so what we did is we pulled it into the community setting where White Mesa after school, they have an after school for students from K-12 that they can do their homework and stuff in a building. We started a class in there for the youth students, and they set it up. They're the ones that say so and so will be the language teacher, so and so will be here every day or every other day, and so for the kids that were getting the language within the community setting. It wasn't in the school setting, but the school district would supply materials like from our Heritage Language Resource Center. We create things for the community to teach their kids after school on their own. And so that could be done too.
Okay. Well, Clayton, thank you for the update. And I think, we just need to coordinate all this information to make sure that goes in the right direction and getting the coordinators to persuade those students to do their pass offs. And then I think we're in pretty good shape. But, again, it's half of this stuff is the student's responsibility. It can't be all the schools or the instructor or the Title VI folks. It's half of that has to come from the students. So thank you, Clayton.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Dustin, I see
Yes.
his name appears. So we'll give the floor to you, Dustin, today, and I appreciate you providing the professional development for us.
Absolutely. I'll see if I can share my screen. Let me see. Share. Yeah, we'll share screen, and then I'll. So today, I wanted to take a look at an issue that's kind of sweeping through Indian country, um, and and so I want to do this in the right way. I'm not doing this to offend anyone. I just think I try to find topics that are going to be on your students' radar, topics that they're going to come up against, that they're probably seeing on social media, and if you all would like to talk to them about it, or do that in some way. I think this would be good information for you to have, just to know what your students are talking about. I did want to just, I'll comment on the video that was shown earlier at the beginning of of the meeting. And it didn't have sound, but I thought that the video itself showed a lot of good things, and making these accomplishments special for your students. It goes a long way, letting them feel proud and grateful for the cultures they're born up in, and letting them know that it matters, letting them know that it's important, that they know who they are, and that they have a place in this world and society. And that goes right along with Clayton. Thank you for your hard work and teaching the language and government, and helping those Navajo students know the importance of that language, and how it's a part of them. And I hope Virgil Johnson gets better soon, or I hope that any situations he's in better, so that he can continue to do that same thing with the Goshu language. That's a very big deal, and I appreciate that work that you all do. What I'm looking at today is something called pretendianism. Um, and pretendian is probably something you've seen on social media a lot lately, and I just thought we'd talk just a little bit about it, and maybe contrast it with appropriation, and there maybe it is on the same line, but maybe it's on a different level of appropriation, and so we'll take a look at that. um, this person here, Elizabeth Hoover, she works at UC Berkeley, and for a long time she had passed herself off as a Native American person, and she got hired at UC Berkeley to teach Native sovereignty, Native food sovereignty. She's written a lot of papers on it. She's done a lot of lectures and symposiums on it, and it came out to where she was not, in fact, a Native American person, but was teaching those Native American topics and issues, and under the guise of being Native. And so when it came out to where she wasn't Native, she did in fact make an apology on her blog and website, and was like, hey, yeah, this is what happened. I've done this. But I'm not willing to let go of anything I've earned while I had said that. I have a position here at UCLA. I can still teach food sovereignty. I can still teach um, native food sovereignty even, and I don't have to be a native person to do it. And this is kind of what she's put out there. And so, uh, being a non-Indian person who the critiques on this are that she was non-Indian and she used a story that made people think she was Indian and was able to gain advancement in her field because of it. And a lot of critics of her are wondering why she, even after admission that she's not native, why she would continue to do what she does. And she made the point that she was hired on her knowledge on food sovereignty, not on being a native person. And people probably aren't buying that explanation altogether. So I thought it'd be something good to talk about and to dive in a little deeper. Still pretty much broad strokes. I'm not trying to go technical on anything and make things super hard. I just want to do a good brush over so that you understand what your students are talking about. I don't know how to move this thing. I used to be able to move this thing around. I don't know. Let me see. There it goes. All right. Oh, there it came back. Well, uh, I want to make sure that people understand what a tribe is, and I'm sorry if you can't see some of that. I can't seem to get that out of the way. Um, but a tribe isn't just a cultural or an ethnic community. It's actually a Native American tribe is an actual government, a sovereign government that works government to government with the federal government, that has opportunity to work government to government with state governments, and they're recognized as that. And so until a tribe gets that legal recognition, they're not they're not considered Indian in a political status, right? Much like being a United States citizen doesn't have anything to do with your race. It's a legal status of citizenship. Um, well, for Native people, it's not just a racial status, it's also a legal status of citizenship within a government, a tribal government. And so when people receive rights and privileges associated with that, it's probably because they're an enrolled member, an enrolled citizen with that government. And that's not everyone has that opportunity to be a part of that. But and some of it's not anyone's fault, yeah, if you married outside your tribe, it may affect your tribe's enrollment blood quantum requirements. So your child may not be able to enroll with your tribe because they don't meet certain requirements that your tribe has, but they're still raised in a native home, and still have native influence and still have native relatives and have native parents that want to make sure they understand who they are. So I hope you would be able to distinguish between those situations and a person who with no indigenous ties claiming indigenous uh, membership or background in order to receive benefit from that. So a pretendian, that's the term that's going out there right now, is someone pretending to be Indian for personal gain or to represent an extreme cultural appropriation that harms indigenous communities, right? And the reason why this is dangerous is because it takes opportunities and resources away from actual native people. It takes away the opportunity for native people to share narratives because someone who's pretending to be native is doing that in their place, and they may not have the understanding or the right intention when they do so. The uh, uh, when I looked up a few things, it says this phenomenon involves creating fabricated, romanticized, and stereotypical identities that can impact people in academics, that can impact people that in the professional spheres, but also artists. My mom is a silversmith. We're in Navajo. We grew up down there, and this is how she makes her living. This is how she puts food on the table. And sometimes we'll run into jewelry that people are selling that is not it's they're not made by native people, but they're inspired by native art, right? And inspired by by Navajo jewelry or things like that. And on some levels, people think, well, that's fine, but a lot of times they don't put in their real work. They don't, they don't go through the real process, and they're able to undersell actual native artists. And so native artists who actually are able to produce these things aren't able to compete monetarily with them and sell and make a living anymore because others are doing it in a way that takes those opportunities away from them. Now, this might be a little different than appropriation because pretendianism isn't just taking bits and pieces of people's culture, but it's actually taking the identity of being Indian itself, right? It's not, oh, I'm gonna wear a headdress because I'm Indian. That's not what appropriation is. Appropriation is I'm wearing this headdress and I'm gonna use it outside of its original context. Pretendianism is this idea that I am becoming Indian. I am Indian now, and I will make people believe I am a native person, and that I have a right to do these things. So it's a little more extreme than appropriation on itself. And I know that it's probably hard to understand or realize in different ways, but um, there is an effect on native communities when this happens. If there are jobs with Indian preference and you're passing yourself off as a native person, but you're not, you're taking jobs from people. If you're applying for grants that are set aside for native people and you're not native, you're taking grants from people. Um, Same thing with scholarships and other opportunities that are intended for indigenous people. And we end up replacing real indigenous voices with manufactured ones, right? Someone who needed a job said they're going to be Indian, and now they're asked to speak on behalf of Native people. It's not really an indigenous voice. It's a voice that created by someone who thinks Native people want this or want to say things a certain way. So what we've seen sometimes where people have been outed as pretendians is when there's traumatic events in Native history, and we can look at you can look at boarding schools or for example on that, and someone might claim trauma from that experience that they've never had, and they want to claim that trauma and experience that because they're not really native people they never had to go through, but they're able to gather enough information and write papers and speak out on that topic and gain recognition, not just through fame, but also through monetary recognition and status and promotion in their jobs, claiming the native trauma that they had in fact never gone through themselves. Uh, this Kim Talbot, who's a professor in Native Studies at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, and a member of the Sisseton Wapeteta Noyate, she says about pretendianism is that it's a theft of opportunities, resources, and it's a theft of our stories. Okay. And so we need to take ownership of that. We need to protect those things to pass on to our children. Otherwise, they do get distorted or manipulated or taken out of context, if not done in the right way. Defining now, just to look at the differences between this idea of pretendianism versus cultural appropriation. Uh, Cultural appropriation is the adoption or use of elements of one culture by members of another culture. But it goes on, right? It says that this adoption of these cultural elements is done in a colonial manner, meaning elements are copied from a minority culture by the dominant culture, and these elements are one used outside of their original context, right? and sometimes even against the express stated wishes of the representatives of the originating culture. So sometimes if you'll see like models or musicians that aren't indigenous, but they're wearing headdresses, or and they're taking that headdress out of its original cultural context. And even when tribes say, hey, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't do that, those are important to our people, they continue to do it. Okay. But that's taking native things and using them outside of context. Some of those places you see this at is is like in spiritualism, right? Especially when you look at native people who for years weren't able to practice their religions, practice their cultures, whether it be through federal laws or boarding schools. Um, this may allow non-Indians to do things that even Indians themselves weren't allowed to do forever, and for monetary benefit. I remember when I moved to Idaho, one of my friends was like, "Oh yeah, there's these people living in this area, and they paid somebody $10,000 to smudge their home." And we're like, "What?" And we joked around. It's like, "Hey, next time call me. I'll smudge it for 5,000." We're just joking around about that. But right, it's people taking things that aren't theirs and using it outside of its context for monetary gain. This is an example of that. Let me move. You can kind of see it in these Halloween outfits, right? Um, where you're seeing native dress or things that are native dance and things like that that are important to native people, but you're taking them outside of their original context and using them for your benefit and for your context and for your goals. This, like I gave an example of my silversmithing, but when companies produce things like this that are just print, or they ignore the hours and hours of hard work that artists go into for each individual piece. I mean, the picture of this rug right here is just amazing. This lady's able to do that and weave this by hand rather than by machines, and by real wool, and not just some thin, easily produced yarn, that's out there. This is a hand spun thing that will give that you can feel and see the difference in those. But because of all the hard work that goes into it, the prices might be a little higher. People are more willing to buy, the machine printed or machine produced things that have indigenous looks, right? And this is something that's related to appropriation rather than the pretendianism where people are actually um, adopting and taking the entire identity of being Indian. I'm just not using Indian things and using them out of context. I'm telling people I am Indian. And, why would people do that? Well, sometimes it's people that had been lost for a long time and they found and they're looking for belonging. They're looking to fit in somewhere. And these are areas that make sense to them somehow. I remember my brother went to the World's Fair in Spain one year, and he was with a performance group, a cultural performance group, and there was these people from the Czech Republic that had adopted the Blackfoot culture. And then there was people from Germany who had adopted Lakota or Blackfeet culture too. And my brother was like, "Why are you doing this? I mean, you guys have your cultures. You have cultural stories. You have cultural dress. You have cultural dances, cultural songs. Why are you taking or incorporating these Lakota or Blackfoot ideas into your societies?" And they told him, they're like, a lot of our past, a lot of our country's past, a lot of our government's actions in the past, especially those out of Germany, were like, we're not very proud of that. We're not proud of how things were handled in the 30s and 40s and the reputation that came along with Nazi Germany. And so we wanted to pick up a culture and practice a lifestyle that was more humane and more loving and greater. And they would take on these cultures for themselves, right? But when in reality, they are not native people and they're still doing that, right? Um, you have people that use it to romanticize, indigenous spirituality. If as if I can claim to be an Indian, I can bring comfort and balance to my friend's world, to my family's world, and I can, I can offer these services out to other people for look that they're doing financial gain. Or if maybe you're not uh, a native person, but you're passing yourself as a native person for academic or professional advancement, and that can take opportunity away from native people by you taking on that identity. Um, or people seeking to avoid responsibility or consequences, right? Looking for lighter criminal sentences, taking on trauma and saying, look at, I was an Indian person. I had my people went through this. I go through this. Please have, let the courts have mercy on me for these things. And in fact, they're not Indian at all. And they're taking and borrowing that trauma that other people have actually gone through for their benefit. Some famous people that had been outed for saying they're native. Um, One is probably someone a lot of people are familiar with, Buffy Sainte Marie. She came out in the late 60s, early 70s as an indigenous folk singer and made a name for herself as a singer and a songwriter and social activist. She had claimed to be Cree out of Canada. I remember watching an episode of her on Sesame Street and talking to the little kids on Sesame Street about Indians, right? And there's even one scene where a little girl was like, "Hey, my sister reads me stories about Indians," and Buffy's like, "Or is it a real story or made up stories?" And the little kid's like, "Well, some of them are made up." And she goes, "Well, look at me, I'm real." And when people questioned her on it, where her community is from, her tribal identity came from, she didn't know, and she changed her story multiple times to carry on that narrative of she herself being native. Um, and she even said that, oh, I was adopted out of Canada and I was raised in America, but there's no birth certificates or anything that show that she's an actual Canadian citizen or that she was born in Canada. And somebody did a report on how they've questioned that tribe and said, is she really a member? And they're like, no, we don't know who her family is, but they're happy to claim her, maybe as an adopted person into the tribe because she did speak out and work for indigenous opportunity and rights through being a social activist, but they can't verify that she was actually native at all. And her sisters will tell her, they're part of a documentary, like, man, we're not native. I don't know where she came up with this thing. It's not true. And the same thing happened to Sesshin Littlefeather. She was a model in the 60s and 70s, and I think what she's most famous for is she refused uh, uh, an Academy Award that was going to go to Marlon Brando for his work in The Godfather. And Marlon Brando asked her to appear on his behalf and refused that award because he didn't appreciate how Native people were being portrayed in Hollywood. And so she does this. She goes up on stand and she says, with great regret, I'm not going to accept this Academy Award. Marlon Brando's asked me not to do it on his behalf, and in regards to how Native people are treated in Hollywood, and also to draw attention to the standoff that was happening at the exact same time in Wounded Knee, South Dakota, with the American Indian movement. And because she did that on TV, it brought attention to the standoff, and within weeks that standoff has come to a close because people didn't want to see that type of thing happening in America. So the federal government and the tribe went in, and AIM went in, and they were able to negotiate a peaceful resolution to that. But again, after her death, her siblings came over and said, "Hey, we're not Native people." And and we weren't raised that way, and we don't know why she took these things upon herself. That's not her last name. Her last name isn't Little Feather, and we don't know why she did that, but she did. And we have the technology and information to find out what things are true and what things aren't anymore. Probably one of the most famous ones is probably Iron Eyes Cody, right? And I remember seeing him as a little kid on TV. I remember watching that commercial right here where he's crying when he's rowing his canoe through a river system in a city, and there's like all this trash in the river system. He pulls his canoe on the shore, and somebody throws like some trash right in front of him, and he has a teardrop roll down his eye, and and he's trying to convince the nation to take care of the land and take care of things. And as a native person, he was going to be this example. And everyone believed it, and he starred in over 30 films playing a native person. He starred in over 20 TV shows playing a native person. He even changed his whole lifestyle, um, and to live as he thought an Indian should live. And he married a native woman, but he was Italian. Iron Rascal was Italian, and his name was Espero Oscar de Corti, and his family, they moved to Louisiana, and he grew up in New Orleans, and he was just fascinated with Indian cultures, and he took that upon himself and just told people over and over again that he was native until they accepted him as native. And there's a movie called Real Injun, ReelInjun, and this Cree native out of Canada, he makes a documentary outlining how native people are represented in Hollywood from early film to present day. And he actually goes and visit Iron Eyes Cody's son, on the Navajo reservation. They talk about it, and his son is just like, I maybe he is Italian, but he lived a very Indian lifestyle, and he wanted me to make sure I understood native language. He wanted to make sure I understood native culture, and so people can say what they want, but he was my dad, and he did his best. But these are people that aren't actually native. And the criticism to this would be, Iron Eyes Cody took the opportunity away from other Native people who could have said the same thing. He took the opportunity away from Native people who could have starred in films. He took the opportunity away from Native people who could have starred in TV shows, and he really wasn't a Native person, and that's the critique that you'll get from this. If you're wondering about individuals or organizations that 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 claim indigenous background or indigenous authority, there's a couple things that you can look at. A lot of people that claim um, indigenous background that aren't really, they have things like they have native names that they bring up, right? This is my name, my Indian name's this, or they they claim to be from one tribe, and you talk to them a year later, they claim to be from another tribe, and a year later they're a different tribe claim. When you ask them where they're from or who they're related to, they talked about people laterally, right? This is my sister, this is my cousin. They're not able to say this is my grandmother, this is my great grandmother. They don't have those ties to the past. They most of their genealogical claims are what we call lateral claims, people around them. Um, Maybe a family, this happens a lot in Native communities where families will adopt ceremoniously a non-Indian person into their family. And when they're adopted into the family, from there they claim indigenous citizenship rights. Right now, that though I'm culturally and genetically not Native American, because I was adopted into this family, now I can speak on behalf of all Indian people and all Indian nations, and that can be a problem. That can be a red flag to these things. Um, they talk about memberships into an organization rather than part of a sovereign nation, right? Um, and like I said, this last one's probably the biggest one, is where you'll find people that talk about trauma as if they had gone through it as Indian people when they really are not native. and they take that opportunity away from others who actually are Native and actually had suffered through that trauma, and it makes it difficult for them to share their stories, because people don't like that version. They'd rather have the non-Indians version of what Indian trauma looked like in that area. Um, but how do you help? How do you become an ally, and how do you make things try to make things better? Well, you can do a lot of things. You can support actual Native artists and designers. You can, instead of buying the print off from Walmart or from Target or from anywhere else. If there's people selling clothing, go find Native clothing that you like and buy from these designers. And it might be a little more pricey, but they're not on that huge. They don't have that huge um, warehouse full of goods like maybe a Walmart or a Target has, but they are handmade, and they are originally designed by these people. And if you want more of this stuff to come out, more of this stuff to be available in the future, it's a time when we can buy these things and support them so that it can become more available and probably at better prices in the future. You can learn more about native-led events. You can native-led movements, whether it be through missing and murdered Indigenous women, domestic violence, human trafficking, mascot issues. If you can just make yourself more aware of these things, you can avoid a lot of that temptation to follow those that aren't authorized or shouldn't be talking about those things. You can support organizations that want to build strong Native government, that want to build strong Native communities, that want recognition to go out to actual Native people rather than maybe a model using things out of context, right? But I use this. Uh, I don't know if everyone remembers her, but she was a great basketball player out of Oregon, ended up playing for Atlanta before the Shoni Schimmel, and people were going to her games, supporting her when she got to the national levels, and that was a big deal. And it's a big deal because today we can see Native people in Division I college sports. And you see Lindy Waters III is just making his name in the NBA right now. You see um, uh, Sydney, probably Sydney Benali playing for BYU, and there's we is it we yeah Weber, not Weber, yeah, Weber has another Navajo girl playing for them. And people are going out and watching these games, and I go to BYU women's basketball games, and for a long time there's like 20 of us in that arena. But now that they recruited a Native girl, shoot, a third of that arena is Navajo or just Native people coming to watch one girl play basketball. And I think we've really shot up their attendance and ticket sales because of it. I've even seen Chuck Foster there at games, and I see a lot of people from the community there just supporting her. And it makes, and teams see this, and teams see that support, and they see that you're willing to come to these games and cheer on your favorite players like this. Um, but I this can be a really touchy subject, and I'm not bringing this up, and I'm not sharing these things I'm hoping to offend anybody. That's not why I'm doing this, and I'm not really here to to be critical of maybe of indigenous people that don't meet enrollment requirements. That's not their fault. But I think when you're looking to work with someone or organizations that claim to be native, there does take some due diligence to make sure that they are, and because opportunities are being lost if they're not and they have your support, right? But aside from blood quantum, right, identity is based on community, your relationships in that community and your lived experience within those communities. You don't have to be living on a reservation to be part of the Indian community. We have a very large Indian community right here in the Wasatch Front. our urban Indians in this community are very strong in their community relationships, and they're very supportive of one another. And there's a lot of educated natives in this area and hardworking natives in this area that we can turn to for help and advice and how to move things forward. And my hope is that you do that and make those things happen. There's a couple pretty big videos out there. One of them is this one by Jacqueline Keeler. She's a Navajo in Lakota, but she's probably, that name is probably the most well known right now when it comes to um, people that are pretending to be Indian being exposed. And, and for some of them, there are people just outright lying. But I think you should also know that there are some people out there that honestly thought they were Native people, and they dedicated their lives to serving those Native communities. And then organizations like Jacqueline Keeler's will come out and say, "Hey, guess what? You're not really Indian. We did your genealogy, we did your background searches. You're not Native at all, and you're speaking on behalf of Native people. You're benefiting off the Native experience." And it leaves is that really thought they were native, it leaves them in a position they don't know where they stand now. And they did the best they could with what they knew, and now that they know, a lot of them are stepping back and it's like, yeah, I guess I can't do that. I guess I can't have that conversation anymore. But they'll issue things like, I'm I apologize, I just didn't know. And I guess if I'm being real, they'll say something like, I could have done that research myself. um, but a lot of them step away out of that circle of native politics and issues that surround them. But this, you can watch this one for free on YouTube. But there's some out of Canada that are on Amazon Prime that are getting a lot of airplay right now that you can find too on the same subject. I It's online everywhere. This are some of the things that I've looked at to make sure I wasn't lying to you guys. And somewhere you can find information. Um, and and so those here for you. But I really, let me see. I it was, I was really intrigued when this really started booming and moving out, and I had to ask a lot of questions about people I knew, and ask a lot of questions about the people I work with, and I asked a lot of questions about the people that are just out there in the world representing Native America and their different circumstances behind it. All right. And but I offered this really broad stroke um, presentation here just for you to get started on you understanding more in the future. I'm sure I've missed a lot of information on that, and I'm sure I've missed a lot of arguments that are out there that I could have shared with you. But I thought it was important enough that you should be aware of that. It's big it's big in on the Indian radar right now in the Native community. So I thought if you work with Native students and you heard these terms going around, that you should know what they are, so that you can better understand your kids, better understand those you serve and the communities you're at. But uh, Chuck, that's all I got, and I'll open it up to any questions, and I'll try to answer them if I can. If I don't know, I'll just say I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. This is some good stuff. Uh, you guys have any questions out there? I know there was a few comments here that I think one of the people that was not mentioned was Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
She mentioned that she was American Indian, and she took the place of someone else receiving a scholarship and enter the higher ed programs, and even becoming an attorney, I think, or something like that.
Well,
I remember.
Harvard law
Wow.
professors.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
think that, you get into the spirituality of all of this, and I saw that on your clip a little bit. An incident happened almost 15 years ago. I believe it was down in Sedona, where this guru is supposed to be a health guru. He was trying to practice American Indian way of life with a sweat lodge. And he built this sweat lodge built for, I don't know, 50, 60 people. And if you look at the sweat lodges that are from American Indians, that's uncalled for. But the result of that person that was running the, you know, I call it steam bath because it wasn't a sweat lodge. There was two or three that were injured and one passed away. And I think that the approaches for ceremonies like this is done a certain way. It's practice. It's given to the person who's running the sweat lodge or that ceremony from the creator. And when it's given to that person through the creator practices, it's done in the correct way. So there's no one getting hurt. No one's harmed. As a matter of fact, it really benefits that person. But I believe that if you go off on a tangent like this guy in Sedona, and run a steam bath like this and try to practice the American Indian way of life uh, uh, with a ceremonial practice, somebody's going to get hurt. And I don't think they really understand that piece there. This is kind of on a spiritual plane. So, when I saw that diagram with those guys sitting around in the rocks in the middle, it's, it, I said, my mind went back to that space. I think that, there's much more movies out there also, you know, and sometimes that, they kind of mix the mountain men concept with the American
Mm,
Indian way of life too.
yeah.
So, that's another conversation for another day. And then you have, Dances with Wolves at the time that came out, and I think it generated a lot of the interest for both sides.
Yeah.
So this is, I think this is a kind of a boomerang effect. It's coming back again. It's making its circle again, through products that's being used, and some of the practices is being distorted, and even the identity. I didn't know that uh, that what's that actor's name, that Salt Marie, that she
Oh,
was
Buffy St. Marie.
Buffy St. Marie. I all this time I thought she was a native from Canada, but
You can keep her albums, bro. It's okay. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
just, you know, I do want to say this. I do want to say that this presentation I gave probably was a little more black and white than what life really is, right? There's a lot of gray, and there's a lot of, I didn't cover every situation where people
yeah,
can do things, and there are people with indigenous lineage that may not be enrolled, that are probably, even though they themselves are indigenously or racially, they're racially Indian, but because they're not enrolled in a government, that they're also being denied access to things. There's
yeah,
a lot of gray in this, and I just wanted to put out the more blatant things out there just to get people's minds going on things. So I know that this wasn't a complete presentation with all the little situations that could possibly happen with that, where these things arise. I get that, but
yeah,
I just wanted to give you something that was pretty broad stroked, that to let you know that when this happens, Native people can suffer from this. Native people can be denied opportunity because of this, and that it can affect how we work with people. So I just wanted to really put that out for you right now. It looks like Meredith has her hand up. Go, Meredith.
Oh yeah, so I was just talking to, I'm taking my son over to, don't worry, I'm on Bluetooth. Um, I'm being safe. I was just thinking about, Avatar, the movie, and, it was like everyone's so excited, and it's one of the largest grossing movies of all time. And I think there was like an interview that they did with James Cameron, who's the director, and he had said that he had studied the Battle of Little Bighorn, and it was the inspiration for the entire saga and series of Avatar. And he's like, but what I learned from that entire experience of studying this is that he said they were a dead end society. He said the Sioux people were a dead end society, and that if they had just fought a little bit harder, they probably wouldn't be in the position they're in now. And so after I heard, and it's quoted, you can look it up and read the transcript. But after that, I was just like, that's so sickening to me, like just so sad. That's really what you got out of that whole, experiences. And now you're like profiting off of the death of all these people, you know? Um, anyway, it was really disappointing. So ever since then, I'm always telling my family I'm not watching any avatars. Like I'll just read the Buried by Heart at Wounded Knee. That's it though.
Thanks, Meredith. Right. Well, yeah, I just again thank you everyone for your hard work. Thank you for your work in the Native community and for trying to get to know your students better and trying to help them navigate in this world so that they can have the best opportunities available for them. And I really appreciate that work of Title VI and the Indian Education Department of Utah here. So thank you very much. Uh, I'm going to step off now. I have to drive
Okay.
to a different meeting, but I really appreciate you guys. You guys have a good one.
Okay. Hey, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's move on. The next, I'm just going to go over this uh, quickly in terms of just a reminder.
Did we lose Dr. Foster?
Hey, I apologize. I clicked the wrong button.
You're
Um,
wondering where you went.
yeah, well, around the around this time, they don't have too far to go to find me. Um, the next one I'm going to share is uh, it's the funding source. I think all of you guys have submitted your application to accept the funding, and although that the funding is not as much as in the years past, you notice that we're having these budget cuts through the whole our agency as well as the state, and I think nationally it's going across the board. And so I'm doing the best I can in terms of getting the funding source to you guys because that's important for us. So this is the definition of the funding that you're going to receive. And I think this has been out, but I can send this out again if you, as just as a reminder. And the last part of that is that the funding cannot be used for certain things, and this is just one of those things that we can't use it for as food. Now, let me. I got another screen here. Okay, let me see here. Let me see here. Let me stop sharing this one here. Oh, here we go. No. Let's see here. Okay, stop sharing. And I'm gonna share this other screen here. It's really nice to know that I can talk to myself. No one is listening. Share. Hey, I guess nobody caught that, right?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, Becky, could you bring that screen up with the memo for the food. I can't do it from my end. I'm hitting
Yeah,
share,
give me
but
a
it's
moment.
okay. And I had the opportunity to visit with the upper administration in terms of our plans for the rest of the year. And one of the things I brought up was that the meals being served for our families and our students. And they asked me to write a memo, and that memo that I sent out to everybody. I just want to make sure that we cover that base also. And please share this with your supervisor as well as your business office. I did send this also to your supervisor, so everybody's on the same page with your LEA site. Now, internally, this has been signed by the Deputy Superintendent Voorhees, and it's been supported by the Deputy Superintendent of Operations, which is the business office, is Scott Jones. And this is being shared with all my colleagues and my supervisors. So we're basically all on the same page, especially when you submit your reimbursement part, and they'll look at that reimbursement piece there from your school district, and they will indicate that there's merchandise or some products or things that were purchased classified as food, and this will justify that. Now that's one piece. The second piece is that just as of last year, I think everybody submitted an agenda last year except for one school district, and so I covered it up pretty good, I think. But please, if you're going to have a celebration for your students or your seniors, make up an agenda, and on that agenda, make it fluff it up a little bit so that it's something that is being passed out to the families and is being passed out to the folks there who are attending. This makes my justification a lot easier because this year's justification, I didn't have any issues. It just went really, really smooth, and I was very, very glad of that. And I think that when we all work together, you know, to try to accomplish something, we have this document in place, in, so. Um, Becky, did you bring that up? I don't see it. And if it doesn't come up, you guys could probably go back to your email uh, in term email I think last week that I sent this out. So any questions on that? Okay. Let's go to the next. I think the next is the ESSA grant part one, and that's open right now. And I think all of you, did you guys all receive confirmation on that if you're going to accept the formula grant application? And if you didn't, please let me know. Or if you haven't, if you didn't get the announcement, because that's important for the Office of Indian Education know that they're aware that you're going to accept that formula grant. And I think I haven't heard anything from anybody, so I'm only assuming. That's the Easy Grant application part one. That's open from February 1st or February 2nd through March the 6th. Um, Let me get another screen here that we have to talk about. It's this one here. And this is now each year we're, because of, the public law that we have with ESSA, any school district, LEA, who receives more than $40,000 per year from OIE, we have we have to arrange a tribal consultation with a local tribe. In the last, I believe, the last 8, 10 years, we've always had that consultation with the Goshute tribe, and I don't think anything's changed this year. And I did send out an email, and this is just basically a reminder. On your screen, you see those red marks. Those are school district LEA Title VI programs who receive more than $40,000 a year annually, and they'll have their tribal consultation. Now, I do have in the area. Well, there's going to be 14 sites are going to have that tribal consultation, and there are 6 school districts from last year, and we just added another one, which is the Ogden School District with Monica Gill and her help. Um, and if you would like to have me arrange the tribal consultation, please let me know. But see, we also have some of the outlying areas, which is Davis, Soraya, then you have Fort Duchesne or Duchesne School District. You have Iron School District, San Juan School District, and Tooele School District. And I think Tooele is having their tribal consultation on Tuesday, April the 28th. Although that they're not receiving more than $40,000, but they like to arrange that tribal consultation because of their behalf, because they have that real strong relationship between the tribe and the school district. And the last two, the Uinta, Jaime Leba, and Washington School District, which is Mike Crescenti. So those are just basically updates. So again, if you like today, if you can, if you want me to arrange that um, tribal consultation, let me know, and I'll do the best I can arranging that. Now with the areas closer to Salt Lake, that has already been arranged. That's Thursday, April the 23rd, and that's with the Goshute tribe. So, any questions on that? Okay, the last one here I'm gonna bring up on the screen is that one there. This is the document that we put our consultation on. And again, that's straightforward information, up on top. You have the LEA as well as the tribe that we're going to be, your school district are going to be meeting with. And here, I think there was a couple times that the LEA made their efforts to contact the local tribe, and the tribe never returned the call and never said anything. So you just mark that box and you sign and you send that to me, and I'll keep that copy. And I believe that there's a mark on your Easy Grant that indicates that if you had that tribal consultation with a local tribe, and so you mark that on your Easy Grant application before you sent that in. And some of the information on that on your tribal consultation would include these areas, and you can mark those areas in which you're going to be covering when you do have your consultation, and you have that tribal representative and the LEA representative. That's going to be you. I think last year I had maybe one or two that didn't sign their names, and we went back and forth trying to get that solved. But I think this year, hopefully, we're all on the same page on this. So that's the tribal consultation part. Now, next month, we're going to go and drill down a little bit on this, and hopefully we can get everything electronically. I think last year and year before that we had it electronically written, and it really helped out because I get the information right away, and when everybody signs, and it works out a lot smoother for everybody. Okay. Um, let me see if there's now for this information, are there any questions? Okay, there's no questions. Are there any updates out there that you'd like to share with everybody? Now, if not, I'm going to put a couple of, well, actually, there are 3 school districts. Tooele School District, is Stephanie here? Sienna, are you here? So
Dr. Foster,
we
I
have
had a
some.
quick question for you,
Oh, you bet.
if now is the time.
Okay, well,
I mean,
anytime.
unless Sarai
I'm
or
here.
Meredith have something that they would like to kick in for, I would not want to leap ahead of them in the
Okay,
queue.
well, let's hear it.
I was just wondering about the House bill that's coming up recently, HBO 75.
Oh yeah,
I went over that, and it says it requires USBE to develop an American Indian Alaskan Education State Program
yes.
in consultation. Are
Yep.
you going to be needing our help with that? Are you
Oh
going to be
no,
needing?
that's been approved already. It's
Mhm.
gone through. It's basically it's a state plan, and this HB 75 that's originated with the Uinta School District and the San Juan School District because they have the largest American Indian student population,
Yeah,
and also they're in a section of 5 and 6, which is kind of an outside area. That was once SB 14 from Uinta and HB 35 in San Juan. In the years past, a couple of years ago, they merged the 2 bills together, and they came out to be, I believe it was 135, 125, HB 125 last year, and this year they changed that to HB 75. So that's the funding for those 2 school districts. It
gotcha.
really doesn't have any implication in terms of funding in our area in this valley. So so thank you.
Well, thank you so much for answering that. My director had specific questions about that. She wanted to know if it
Yeah.
was going to affect us, and I wasn't sure
No.
what the funding, what it was talking about when it was talking about the funding available for those
Yeah.
schools. But we're not
Yeah.
high concentration schools, most of us, so
No.
or school districts or LEAs. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
In the years past, I had conversation with some of the former legislatures, and the conversation was that funding for our area in the urban areas, and that was really hard to do because the constant, talking about the concentration plus the sections. I think our sections here in this area is either 1 or 2. That's meaning that we don't have very many American Indian people living in this area, as opposed to the 5 and 6, which is the larger American Indian population, which is Uinta and the Ute tribe, and San Juan, which is now the Navajo tribe. So, but at least I gave it a shot.
Dr.
Hey,
Foster,
yes,
on the agenda, it says Title 6 site visits. Are you gonna do those for all of
yeah,
us
I'm
or?
I'm getting all this my information together, and I'll send that out either Tuesday of next week, and I think most of us we have our Monday off for
I swear you just came last year.
Hey, I like to come to your place,
I
man.
know.
You
Well, we might
guys,
have some
you
issues
guys,
for you.
you guys always have that refreshments, and and that's the thing I like. Never mind about the business; it's all fresh, yeah. But I'll make that arrangement
I'll
though.
make sure to have some good stuff for you.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah,
You
I
know,
did
Dr.
come.
Foster, I hear
I
Meredith makes very good fry bread, like sweet fry bread. You definitely want to go visit Provo this year. That's what I'm
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, well, well, that'll be a challenge for some. So, uh, Any other questions? Now I have Tawilla Jordan. Is Dr. Shaw on? Amy, are you on? You can introduce your new person. And Cash with Eldon, your new person up there also. So we have three new individuals. And Tooele, that's Sienna Begay. In Jordan, it's Chris Upshaw. And Cash, it's Crystal Chi. So they're all new to our group, and I don't see any of them on.
Chris was working as a mentor here. She's
Oh,
awesome. And
Oh.
at Davis now, and she moved over that way.
Yeah, yeah. So these are just announcements. Hopefully, the next time they come around, around the turn, they can answer the call. So those are the updates. Now let's move on to number 6, the Urban Indian Center. Do we have any updates from the Urban Indian Center?
Hi, this is Titana Longhair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm the youth and family program coordinator. Penelope is not here today. And so I think the only update that I have is just for my program, which is we've are into our fourth section of the youth culture classes that we hold on Tuesday nights. And we've been focusing more on wellness for our youth. So we've had the Salt Lake City clubs, the dental club, the pre-med club come out and give a presentation on dental health and first aid. We also had a presenter talk about human trafficking, and it was geared toward the youth. So she did a really good job and basically just telling the kids just to be aware and around their surroundings and looking out for one another. The parents thought that was pretty educational as well. And we also have our powwow dancing, singing, and drumming. We also have some presenters that had come that are local powwow people that came in and talked about their style of dance and their regalia to the kids. And so we're gonna be ending possibly next month, and then we start on with our other programs. And when Penelope comes back, I'm pretty sure she'll give everybody more of a update what else our program is doing.
Good enough. Thank you. Anybody else would like to say anything before we adjourn? Well, thank you for your attendance today, this morning. I think that the subject area was appropriate for our area, and it gives me another opportunity to look into the. I've really never heard of that word until now. I've always heard, the term is always Indianness, so this is a pretendingness, so that's it's a new word for me. So other than that, hey, thank you guys for coming. And is Thomasia, is she here? If I could have her, I'd like to visit with her just a little bit. Other than that, hey, we'll see you guys March the 13th of next month. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Foster.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Foster.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being